Now, we told you about the border, what's going on there. There is something different going on as well. Migrants trying to get in here, but right now they're being followed by cartel members armed with long guns, and sometimes they're literally next to each other. Imagine dealing with that. Lieutenant Chris Olivarez has seen that for himself. The Texas Department of Public Safety guy who's dealing with this on a daily basis, kind enough to join us. Chris, you have the video and the images to prove it. And at first, I thought these were like some of those UFO films. That can't be right. But yeah, they are. What did you see?
Absolutely, Neil. That's why it's very important to expose what's happening on the border. It's not just in terms of mass migration between the ports of entry, but it's a criminal activity that's taking place with the Mexican drug cartels and criminal smuggling organizations that continue to profit and exploit the fact that we have an open border. And what you're seeing right there in those photos, it's very rare to see actual smugglers that are bringing illegal immigrants across the border between the ports of entry armed with a rifle. We've had several events early this year where we actually worked with the Mexican authorities to arrest smugglers that were armed with handguns. But to see a rifle really shows the capability, how brazen these criminals are, that they try to avoid any means whatsoever to avoid law enforcement so they can bring either groups of illegal immigrants across or drugs or whatever the case may be. But that's why it's very important to have a law enforcement presence at the border, to have infrastructure so you can prevent situations like you're seeing right now on those photos. But this is a clear reality of the situation on the border right now, and it continues to get much worse as the numbers continue to increase. The more people that want to come across the border, the more the criminal organizations are going to exploit that.
You know, Chris, what seemed different this time with some of the video that you shot and your men and women shot is we've always suspected cartels were part of this process of getting migrants across the border and making sure that happens, but they were out of sight. Here they're proudly in sight. I don't know if proudly is the right word, but they're not hiding from being in sight. And that almost shows a new level of boldness, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Neil. I mean, we've experienced, as I mentioned, some of these events that have taken place throughout the southwest border in Texas where you have armed individuals that actually stand across the river and they'll taunt either our officers or Border Patrol agents or National Guard, even shoot at them. We've had cases like that. And now they're actually bringing people across the river, actually arming themselves. Really goes to show you they've really taken it to another level of brazenness, of showing how bold they are, that they really don't care as far as what's going to happen because they know right now that they are in control. And that's what we're trying to do as far as the state agency is try to show that we are the ones that are in control. We're going to prevent what's happening on the border, try to go after these criminals and arrest them. But of course, again, it all falls back to, when you don't have border policies in place to stop what's happening between the ports of entry, this is the clear result of what's going to happen. You're going to see criminal activity coming across the border.
Let me get your quick thought on how bad it is getting, because to hear the administration telling some of the numbers back them up, that they're down substantially over the last couple of months, but they don't tell the whole story, namely what you have been picking up on here. So what do you expect in these next few weeks in August and into the fall?
Well, the numbers have been increasing, Neil, and also it all goes back to when the federal government started to use the CBP-1 app. It was all just to really divert the attention from seeing these mass groups of people that were coming between the ports of entry to avoid the media attention, now to release and mass release people at the ports of entry. But we're still experiencing an influx of people that are coming across the border between the ports of entry. The past 2 days, nearly 6,000 daily encounters throughout the southwest border. So we're pretty much on track where we were, pre-Title 42. So nothing really hasn't changed. We still have human smuggling. We have criminal activity taking place, drugs coming across the border. As you saw right there, criminals that are armed, that are bringing illegal immigrants across, unaccompanied children. So the situation has not changed. The numbers still continue to increase, and we anticipate they're going to continue to increase in the coming months as well. So that's why it's always important to have some type of presence there, consequences to prevent what we're seeing right now. And with that, Neil, the more people you have coming across that dangerous river, the more loss of life you're going to have when it's affecting these migrants that want to make it across that river, that are being exploited, being assaulted, being robbed by these smugglers. So it's a very dire situation right now, and that's why it's so important that we're out there trying to do as much as we can as a state agency, trying to prevent what's happening between the ports of entry.
Well, what you do is remarkable, and I know you never like to take a bow, and you always compliment your men and women, but man, I cannot imagine a tougher job these days, what you guys are We're keeping up with Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. Always good seeing you, my friend.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.